What if I told you that the 50-something tour didn't just mark a return, it marked a rebirth? A moment where legacy, loss, and musical evolution collided on stage in a way fans say they will never forget. From the very first night, something felt different, almost electric in the air, as if everyone in the arena knew they were witnessing history being rewritten in real time. Fans across social media described the opening shows as surreal and unexpectedly emotional, especially as the band stepped onto the stage with a renewed energy that nobody fully anticipated. And then came the moment that sent shockwaves through the crowd. Alex Lifeson locking into those signature guitar tones, delivering solos that felt both familiar and newly alive. Was this the same Lifeson fans grew up with, or something evolved? But the biggest question everyone kept asking was, how would the chemistry hold with this new live configuration? Because as the tour unfolded, one name kept coming up again and again in fan discussions: Anika Nilez. And what she brought to the stage didn't just support the sound, it shifted it. And just when fans thought they understood what this tour would be, the performances started proving them wrong night after night. As the 50-something tour rolled into its second wave of performances, something undeniable began to take shape. Geddy Lee was not just performing, he was commanding entire arenas with a level of emotional presence fans described as deeply personal. Every note seemed heavier with meaning, every vocal delivery carrying decades of history behind it. And when he spoke to the crowd between songs, it wasn't just banter. It felt like connection, real, unfiltered connection. One of the most talked about moments came during the performances of classics that longtime fans had been waiting for. Songs that once defined generations were suddenly being reinterpreted live, with subtle changes in dynamics that gave them new emotional weight. Audience reactions online were immediate. Clips went viral within hours, with fans calling it the most powerful version we've ever heard. Meanwhile, Alex Lifeson continued to push boundaries on stage. Critics noted how his guitar work wasn't just technically sharp, but emotionally charged, almost like he was telling a story inside every solo. As fans could be seen visibly reacting in real time, hands over heads, disbelief, even tears during certain transitions. And then there was Anika Nilez again, quietly becoming one of the most discussed parts of the entire tour. Early skepticism from some fans gradually shifted as her precision and intensity locked in tighter with each show. Social media threads began changing tone from doubt to respect, and then to full admiration. But behind all of this rising momentum, there were whispers, moments off stage, interviews, and subtle comments from the band, hinting that the real turning point of the tour was still ahead. And nobody was prepared for what would happen next. By the midpoint of the 50-something tour, the conversation around the band had shifted from nostalgia to something far more compelling: renewal. In a few carefully shared interviews during the tour cycle, Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee both hinted that the experience on stage was not just about revisiting the past, but about reinterpreting it in real time. Fans picked up on those comments instantly, dissecting every word online, trying to understand what it meant for the direction of the live shows. On stage, that idea of ear interpretation became even more obvious. Some arrangements felt looser, more expressive, almost as if the musicians were willing to take risks with songs that once felt untouchable. And audiences responded in kind. Crowd recordings shared across social platforms showed arenas reacting not just with applause, but with moments of stunned silence, followed by explosive cheers when familiar sections returned. Anika Nilez continued to be a central part of that evolving sound. What stood out most in fan discussions was not just technical skill, but how seamlessly the rhythm section felt re-anchored around her playing. Many attendees described a sense of fresh propulsion, as if the entire band was being driven forward with new momentum. And yet, even as the performances grew tighter and more confident, there was still a sense that something bigger was building beneath the surface, something the band had not fully revealed yet. The kind of moment that doesn't announce itself until it suddenly changes everything on stage. As the tour pushed deeper into its later stretch, the atmosphere inside each venue began to feel less like a concert series and more like a shared experience that fans were reluctant to let end. Even before the first note, the anticipation was different. audiences already expecting moments they would talk about for years. Geddy Lee's stage presence became one of the most discussed elements in this phase of the tour. Fans noted how he seemed increasingly relaxed, yet deeply focused, often locking eyes with the crowd during key transitions, as if acknowledging the weight of what these songs still mean after all this time. Those moments quickly became fan-favorite clips online, shared with captions like, "He felt that one with us." Alex Lifeson, meanwhile, continued to draw attention for the emotional edge in his playing. It wasn't just about solos anymore. It was about restraint, timing, and knowing exactly when to let a note breathe. Critics and fans alike described it as a guitarist relearning his own legacy in real time, a sentiment that sparked long discussions in comment sections and forums. Annika Nilau's role also continued to evolve in the narrative of the tour. What began as curiosity from fans had now turned into recognition of how crucial her consistency and drive had become to the live foundation. The tighter the shows became, the more her presence was credited with stabilizing the band's renewed live identity. And still, amid all this growing confidence on stage, whispers of a defining moment began circulating. Stories from attendees hinting that one particular performance sequence was unlike anything else so far on the tour. Something that reportedly changed the entire mood of the arena in an instant and set the stage for what was coming next. And then came the kind of moment fans don't just remember, they replay in their minds long after the lights go down. In the closing stretch of the 50-something tour so far, everything seemed to converge at once. Years of history, the evolving live chemistry, and the emotional weight of performing music that has lived across generations. According to attendees and post-show reactions shared across social platforms, certain nights felt less like structured set lists and more like living, breathing journeys, where transitions blurred and the music carried the audience deeper than expected. Geddy Lee's final stretches of these shows were repeatedly described as grounding forces, moments where the entire arena felt pulled into one collective voice. Alex Lifeson's playing, often highlighted in fan reviews, became even more expressive in these closing performances, with subtle improvisations that gave familiar songs a new emotional shape without breaking their identity. And Annika Nils, by this point in the tour narrative, was no longer being introduced through debate or comparison, but through recognition of how tightly the live sound had locked in around her presence. Fans and commentators alike pointed to the stability and drive she brought as one of the defining shifts in the tour's live evolution. What makes this tour so talked about isn't just nostalgia, it's transformation. The way each night seems to add another layer to a story still unfolding. And as the tour continues, one question keeps echoing through fans everywhere. What moment will define the next chapter? If you've been following the 50-something tour, what has been your most unforgettable moment so far? Drop it in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more deep dives into legendary live music moments. Because if this tour has proven anything, it's that the story is far from over.